Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. I am Shaiyeh and I am here to show you how to sew this geometric drawstring bag. This design has been living in my brain for months now, but I just finally got around to making the pattern and I'm really excited to start it. I will be guiding you through the sewing process and you can find the measurements in a pattern PDF on my Ko-fi. Free to download, but you can leave a tip if you want. Full disclosure, this is my first time sewing this design, so if I seem confused at times, it's because I am. Anyway, let's make this bag. I start by drawing out my pattern. Like I said, you can find a handy PDF for this, so you don't have to go through this process. You'll need fabric in 2 colours plus a lining fabric, pins, optional interfacing, thread to match your fabrics, an iron, scissors and an orange cat. It's really important to make sure your fabric is sufficiently massaged before starting, and an orange cat, or any other cat, is one of the best ways to achieve peak level massaged fabric. I start by cutting up my lining pieces, 2 side panel pieces and 2 big main panels. Important to note is that this pattern does not include seam allowance. Add as much as you typically need when cutting out your pieces. My fabric was too narrow to fit the big piece, so I had to do them in halves. It's doable, but I recommend using a fabric big enough for the pieces you want to cut out. I have a big pile of pieces due to this, but you will likely have 4. Next, I split my pattern into the top and bottom pattern pieces by cutting along the indicated line. I do this for both the main panel and the side panel. I cut out 2 of each of the bottom pieces in this thick, sturdy linen fabric. That small rectangular piece I put on the fabric there is my tab. It was originally meant to be a drawstring channel, but I changed the pattern over the course of sewing the bag. You'll need 1 tab for this bag. We'll get over the channels later. Again, cut out with your preferred amount of seam allowance added to the pattern. Next, we're cutting out the top pieces. I chose this vintage printed cotton with birds and florals. I realised in editing this was mostly out of frame. I'm so sorry. But the same goes here. Add some seam allowance as you're cutting out your 2 side top panels and 2 main top panels. I am placing my pattern pieces sort of wastefully on the fabric, I am aware, but I really wanted to get the bird print on the main pieces. Don't worry though, I reuse scrap fabric for patchwork. And that's all pieces cut out. Iron your pieces if you want, and then let's get on with the sewing. I start by sewing my lining together. Unless you, like me, have to piece things together, just sew along all the side seams. Next, we'll sew the bottom. Line the V-shaped side piece up with the edges of the main panel pieces, 1 on each side. Cutting into the corners, notching, helps the fabric get into the shape we want here. Pin and sew it together. Repeat for the other side panel. Now sew straight across the bottom. And that's the lining sorted. Put it aside for now, as we'll start on the outside of the bag. And yes, this is me being confused at my own pattern. I spent entirely too long being unable to figure out my next step. So, this is the tricky part. We want our pieces to fit together like this. Turn your bottom piece over, place it right side together with the top piece like I've shown here, and sew along the edge. Line the other side up the same way and sew that down as well. I also sew a small decorative faux seam in the middle of the bottom panel and top stitch along the edge from the right side. Your piece should look like this. Repeat these steps for the second main panel. Again, notching the sharp bends help shape the fabric. Let's move on to the side panels. They're pieced together the same way, only with a V shape pointing the other way. I also did a faux seam over the entire piece as opposed to just the bottom half. Just like that, you've done all the pieces for the outside of the bag as well. Go you! Here I went and added interfacing to my pieces. It's fusible interfacing that I just cut out to match my pieces and then ironed on. This step is optional. Don't use interfacing if you don't want it, or use batting if you want an even thicker, squishier bag. Line up your side seams, side panel to main panel, pin and sew all your pieces together. Just like we did with the lining, line the side panel bottom seams up with the main panel ones and notch any corners that need to bend a lot. Pin and sew. And again, like with the lining, sew straight across the bottom. Turn your lining right side out and place it into the bag, right sides together. Make sure to line up the corners well. This is also where we will add our drawstring channels. I am cutting mine out now because of the previously mentioned redesign. I'm cutting out 2 long and 2 short pieces with the indicated edge on a fold. Add seam allowance to all sides but the fold. Piece them together by placing the right sides together and sewing along the V-shape edges so that you have one long strip of fabric. Two of the pieces should be attached only on one side and hemmed on the other. This is 1 long and 1 short piece. This will be the opening for your drawstring channel. Fold the channel piece in half and sew about 1 inch from the folded edge to create an actual drawstring channel. Next, fold and sew down the sides of your tab. Sandwich your drawstring channel between the lining and outer bag, with the raw edges lining up to the edges of the bag. Decide where you want your tab, if you want one, and sandwich that between the outer bag and drawstring channel. Now we're ready to sew around the bag. When you sew, leave one of the sides open. Do not sew this close. This is so that you can turn your project right side out. Turn the bag. This is usually my least favourite part of the project, but this time it went smoothly. Yay! We'll now top stitch around the entire bag. In this step, we'll also sew down the side we left open in the previous step. Make sure to catch all layers of the bag when you do this. Go as slow as you need. Let's add a drawstring. I am using yarn. I believe it's cotton. It was in the Deep Stash cotton yarn bag, braided in a 4-strand box braid. Attach it to a safety pin and feed it through the channel. Knot it off and voila! That's me and you being all finished with the bag. Nice going! I had so much fun putting this bag together and I hope you enjoyed following along. Don't forget you can get the pattern if you hop on over to my Ko-fi. It is a pay what you want listing, but leaving a tip is entirely optional, so you can download it for free. If you make this bag, I would love to see it. Please tag me at Shaiyeh on Instagram or YouTube and use #WitchKnitsPodcast if you make and share it. Thank you ever so much for watching and for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to keep seeing what I get up to on my channel with my art, sewing, knitting podcast and more, please consider clicking the subscribe button as well as ringing the little bell to get notified whenever I upload. Like the video if you liked it and leave a little comment. Take good care of yourselves, have a great time, and I will see you again very, very soon in my next video. Bye!